Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
Numbers 23 shows how Balaam is unable to curse Israel. He tries to manipulate God by offering 7 bulls and 7 rams on 7 altars. He thinks that the God of Israel can be manipulated by the number 7. But in verse 5, we see that God comes and puts His word in Balaam's mouth and tells him, "Go back to Balak and give him this word." Instead of he trying to control God, God controls Balaam. And this is what he told Balak in verse 8. How can I curse those whom God has not cursed? How can I denounce those whom the Lord has not denounced? You see, both of them found out that they cannot tell God what to do, and also Balaam cannot make God curse those whom he has not cursed. Both Balaam and Balak found out that God is not their servant and cannot be fooled with 7 altars and 7 sacrifices. And also, as verse 9 says, Israel is a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations. You see, Israel was a special people and they had made a covenant with God, and that is why they cannot be cursed. Friends, the Lord whom we serve is so strong that He cannot be swayed by some soothsayer and his tricks. God does what He wants to do. He only makes others do His will. He cannot be manipulated. That is why believers fear God and submit to Him. Believers do not take God lightly. So many people have found out in their personal lives that God is not their servant and cannot be told what to do. Believers, let God be God. In verse 19, Balaam also told Balak that God is not human that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind. Does he speak and then not act? Does he promise and not fulfill? I have received a command to bless. He has blessed and I cannot change it. Friends, God had already promised Abraham that his family will be blessed and will be a blessing. You see, God does not use His words casually or lightly. When He promises, He fulfills. He always stands by His word. And that is another reason why believers trust God and also submit to Him. They know that God's plan and purpose does not change, and therefore believers only align their lives, adjust their lives to God's purpose. Balak also found out that divination or magic will not work with God. In verse 13, Balak said to Balaam, "Come with me to another place where you can see them. You will not see them all, but only the outskirts of their camp. From there, curse them for me." Earlier, Balak and Balaam tried to control God with altars and sacrifices. Now they think that if they can do their magic and divination from a different place, then their divination and magic will work. But Balaam found out that that is also not true. In verse 23, he admitted, "There is no divination against Jacob, no evil omens against Israel. It will now be said of Jacob and of Israel, 'See what God has done.'" Usually, people like Balaam try to find out some weakness in their victims and try to use that weakness against them. But in verse 21, Balaam said, "No misfortune is seen in Jacob, no misery observed in Israel. The Lord their God is with them. The shout of the king is among them. Friends, Israel may not be a strong nation. Israel may not be perfect, but because the Lord is with them, they are strong. Friends, when God is with his people, even a renowned soothsayer cannot curse God's people. In the ministry of Jesus, we read how demons fled. That is why Jesus asked us to remain in him. When believers remain in Jesus, they are protected by Jesus. They may not be perfect, they may not be completely righteous, but because they remain in Jesus, they are safe. And even though they are ordinary human beings, believers are protected by God because they do his will and walk in his ways.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.